Hi guys, welcome back to the podcast. You're listening to XOXO Godly Girls. My name's Abby.
My name is Tori.
And today is today Valentine's Day?
Today's Valentine's Day.
Happy
also known as Sadie Day.
Happy Sadie
Day. Happy Sadie Day. Last week, we had our best friend Sadie on the podcast, and we're going to have her back on sometime, but she shared with us that Valentine's Day for her family, they call it Sadie Day because she almost lost her life on that day, and so it's like a big deal. So happy Valentine's Day, and Sadie, if you're listening, happy Sadie Day. Today we celebrate you too.
That's awesome. But today we are going to talk all about love, kind of. We, coming into this topic, relationships is one of our most favorite topics, and we have so many opinions, so many words to say. And today we walked up here and said, what the heck are we going to say today? What are we talking about? We have absolutely no idea going into this what we're going to say or talk about, so enjoy the journey.
Because we even got together and tried to prepare, and usually things just kind of flow, and we're like, we don't script anything, but we have this is our goal in this episode, key points, and we just sat there and we're like, for being our most passionate topic, the fact that our minds are blank,
Lord be working, because we don't know what to say.
Must mean that God is like, no, I don't want your opinion. Just let me speak or whatever. So yeah, so that's what's gonna happen today.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Let's just give them a little insight into our love life.
That's a good start, yeah.
Okay, so my love life, obviously, we love God. That's cheesy. but I am currently engaged. I get married in 5 or 4 months. I don't know. And I don't know. That's crazy. But that's where I'm at right now. Tori? I don't know how to say. She's single.
I'm a single.
Ready to mingle, only if you go through me first.
Single, not entirely ready to mingle.
That's why I said you have to go through me first.
Yeah. There's a process. There's a whole thing in my mind of how it's going to have to lay out in order for me to... And I know that's bad because, God might not want it to that way, but, yeah. I'm single and I'm not really ready to mingle. And we did the math because in one of the episodes... we were talking about how long I've been single and said, I think it's been 6 years, 7 years, whatever, but then it has been 7 now. And so I've been single for 7 years. And even prior to that, when we talk relationships, this is where we're at now. I'm single, Abby's engaged, but it has taken us a long time still to get to where we are, me being content in singleness and Abby being in a healthy relationship and engagement. And so where we're at right now is because we also have, past hurt and history with relationships. And I think a big part of that has shaped us into who we are today, which is why we're so passionate on it. But also, I wonder if I could have become still the person I am today without a lot of the hurt that I had to experience to get here. So,
I don't think so. I don't think that we would be where we're at today if we hadn't experienced those. I think it's always comforting to know... I don't know what I was going to say. It's just comforting to know that you went through a lot of hurt.
I actually do know what you were going to say. That it's comforting to know that you're not alone in something. Yeah. And so I hate that we both went through things in relationships, but also now that we're ministering to young girls, if we were preaching to them and telling them all this stuff and we hadn't lived through difficult relationships ourselves, our words wouldn't really hold validity. It wouldn't be, first off, it wouldn't be relatable, but also it would just seem like they don't understand. Why are they talking to me when they don't understand my situation? And I wish not to understand sometimes, but I'm grateful that I went through the things that I did because now I'm able to help people with it. And I know that's the same for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's what I meant to say. Just
no, I knew exactly where you were going with it. I did. That was good. Good job.
Thank you. Good job to you. Thanks for finishing my sandwiches.
Always. We finish each other's sandwiches.
Okay, let's have a fun question.
Okay, what you got?
What is your best pickup line? So this can be a pickup line that you think of or someone has used this pickup line on you. It'd be way funnier if someone's used this on you.
Has anyone used a pickup line on you before? An actual pickup line?
No, I don't. Not that I can think of. Colton jokingly has done them, but not in a serious. I feel like that's so awkward to do it in a serious manner. hey, you want to go roast some marshmallows? Like, I don't, that's your pickup line, but I don't know how you end that.
You want to go roast some marshmallows?
Because you're looking a little smoking tonight. Like, I would not be good at pickup lines.
No, it was something like, are you a bonfire because you're hot and I want some more? That was, but I like yours better. If someone asked me to roast marshmallows, I'd be way more happy about that.
Could you imagine me like trying to say that on somebody? I'm like,
your pickup line.
Because I want a s'more. I actually just love s'mores.
You want to roast some marshmallows because I want a s'more. Okay,
Sure.
Use either of those. See which one works the best. I think you win.
I'm gonna get to use this on Colton. He'll be like, what? He'll probably die laughing.
He'll just go make a s'more because he won't understand. He'll just be like, I'll get you a s'more.
Sure, you want a s'more? I'll get
Anything for
some.
you, sweetheart.
Oh my
That's
gosh. That's hilarious.
That was amazing. All right, so love, relationships, yeah.
Live, laugh, love.
What you got to start us off?
So I looked up Proverbs 4:23, and it says, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it, which is very powerful. I feel like I read a Bible verse, and I'm like, so be it. Amen.
So be it. Amen. Words. Like, how am I supposed to follow that up, though? That's the exact thing. Because, sometimes I'll read it and be like, okay, I'm going to speak on this verse, but when I say the verse, my words are not going to sound near as good as what I just read, so I feel like we should just end the podcast there.
I'll preface what Natalie said the other day, because coming onto this podcast is so out of my comfort zone. Speaking on the Bible is so out of my comfort zone. I've been a Christian my whole life, but not saying that I've always been good at reading my Bible. So if you're listening to this and you don't have any like biblical knowledge, I'm learning and growing with you. Every week I'm diving in and learning, and yeah, so we're in this together, because I don't know what I'm doing half the time, but I'm willing to let God use me in whatever way he wants. So here we are. Proverbs 4:23. Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. I don't know. I feel like going into any relationship, any friendship, like we talked about last week, anything, you have to guard your heart, because if you are always just willing to give your heart out to everyone, which for me, I used to always be willing just to, I don't care, let's go do whatever. And I never guarded what was the most special, like the most important thing is your heart, because it makes everything else function. So, yeah, that's all I got.
We also, think about it in church and stuff. We say that Jesus dwells in our heart and he lives in our heart. And so if you're not guarding that, you're giving people access to, God in you and how he might be trying to grow in you. And so they're either going to help in your growth they're either going to help in your growth to the God that is in your heart, or they're going to distract you from him. So what does it look like to guard your heart? What does that mean? Or what does it look like not to?
From past experiences, it was so easy for me to let anybody in. And I think that, yes, you should have, your acquaintances. We're always called to be disciples and to speak to other people, but who you let in close to your heart is very crucial to your everyday life, like we talked about. So, if you're single and you're ready for a relationship, I think that, for me anyways, I was willing to let anybody in because I just wanted to, I don't know, feel loved, I guess. And so I wasn't guarding my heart because I was letting anybody control what my emotions, and emotions are fleeting, just control how I felt. And so I think that not guarding your heart looks like just letting anybody close, even though you don't get to know them a little better, know where their heart is first. And so
That was good. And I would say, for me, guarding my heart, same thing, not letting a ton of people close. I think that can be a barrier for some people in getting to know Jesus, because like I said, you're letting him into your heart. That's not just near you, you are letting him dwell inside of you, and to transform you. And that's really scary for some people to want to let anybody close, because for me, guard your heart is not a hard thing to do. That's my natural response, is to guard my heart. And so I can be so guarded with friends, with relationships, with anything. And it wasn't always like that, but also it kind of was. I've always been more guarded in that way, but then it's like once I let my guard down, I'm all in. And that's the scariest part, because someone can be not good for me, and then it's like I have let my guard down, and so now I feel like I have allowed that person close to me, and so now I have to take it very seriously. Like, now they know me, now they see me, and being really known and seen is one of the scariest things. And so when you allow that to everybody in the whole entire world, and you're just so open to like letting people close to you, then you don't realize how much it affects you. But when you live your whole life so cautious of who you let close, then sometimes you can use that as an excuse to like stay with someone or to stay stuck in something, because being known and being seen is scary. Yeah. I don't know if that made sense, but
That's good. Yeah, because if you're too guarded, I feel like a lot of times we miss out on great friendships. We miss out on great relationships because we're too closed off to letting anybody come close anytime, you know? And, yeah. I feel like it's so easy, like, to say that, like you said, like, girls are so easy to be the victims, and, like, they always get their heart broken because they're always letting guys or friends or people in. And there are some guys that, I mean, we know that have gotten their heart broken too. So there's a prime example in the Bible that we talked about. It's in Judges chapter 14, if you want to read that in your own time too. We'll kind of sum it up. It's talking about Samson. So Samson went down to Timnah, and he found this Philistine woman, and he went to his parents and said, "Get this woman, like, I love her, I want to marry her." And doesn't even know her. Like, could you imagine just walking on the streets and be like, "Mom and Dad, like, I saw someone at Costco, go get her.
she's beautiful.
I
love her. She's my wife."
Yeah. And so they go to get her, and on the way, Samson had a young lion approaching him, and so he got the power of the Lord and ripped him apart. Like, could you imagine ripping apart a lion? No. And so he rips this lion apart and then doesn't tell anybody, and he leaves it there to rot, I guess. And so he meets back up with his parents and doesn't tell them what has happened, and then he marries this Philistine woman, and then he tells them this whole riddle.
Isn't this the weirdest story? Now where'd this riddle come from?
Like, it sounds so romantic, but it's like, yeah. Samson, what are you doing? And so he tells them this riddle, and they're like, have to break it. And why did they have to break it?
The riddle, in order to like free the, hold up, Judges
14.
Okay, the whole riddle thing, here's the thing. That like riddle thing, this was the woman before Delilah. I don't know if you, yeah. So he did this whole riddle thing. Samson's playing his games, pulling out riddles, trying to like trick people. And then he's with this girl who ends up tricking him, figures out the riddle, solves it, and then like get the loss or whatever. But then ultimately it works out, God's glory, God's victory. But then the story that we know, which is Samson and Delilah, happens later. And so this is so good, because have you ever heard that people, like, you're dating the same person just in a different body? Have you ever heard people say that? So it's like you attract the same kind of guys over and over and over again. And so it's like, why are all of these guys treating me the same? It's like, I can't find a good guy. I can't do this. Like, they're all the same. Well, Samson is prime example of that. He just keeps attracting these toxic women because he's attracted to them. And then he's like, they're tricking him, and then they're getting him trapped. Not that he's always in the right space either. Like, he's not the best guy. But that was before Delilah. And so then when Delilah comes into the picture, he's so attracted to her, drawn to her. It's like he forgot all of his common sense and the girl who just played him like a fool, and then he falls into it again. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. So then Samson and Delilah is the story of, like, she's not with his people, obviously, and so her people are trying to defeat him, and he's so strong, he just killed a lion with his bare hands. So they're wanting to figure out what his strength is, like where does his strength come from? And they set up Delilah to set him up and try to get that information out of him. So that's like the whole story of them, is literally her just trying to
Isn't she the one who cut his
him.
hair? Mm-hmm. Did he lose his strength?
Mm-hmm.
Strange.
Yeah.
Why was God putting it in his hair? That is why I'm so strong, because I have a really long hair.
Thick hair. But
That's interesting.
it was more this idea of obedience. And so, like, your strength is in your hair or whatever, but he had given Samson other rules, and Samson didn't follow them. He was still strong. And so I think towards the end of that story, he still kind of has in his mind, like, I haven't obeyed God this whole time, and I've been fine. So I'm comfortable with this girl. I trust her, and so I'm going to tell her the truth and trust her vulnerably, not guarding my heart at all. And here's the thing is, she, like 3 or 4 times in that story, she had asked him, like, what is the secret to your strength? And he played her and, like, told her something that wasn't true. And then the people would try to do that thing, and it didn't work because it wasn't the truth. So you think that he would be realizing that red flag, like, why are the Philistines finding out that, the very thing that I told this woman? But he had his love blinders on. He was so unaware. And so then that last time it says, let me find like the exact verbiage because it's crazy. In verse 18, it says, when Delilah saw that he had told her all of his heart, she sent and called the lords of the Philistines, saying, come up again, for he has told me all of his heart. And then the lords of the Philistines came up to her, brought the money in their hands. She made him sleep on her knees. Like, that's so vulnerable. Like, here, come lay down, and, like, I'll take care of you. Because she knew that he had poured out everything that he had. And then she called a man and had him shave off the 7 locks of his head. And then she began to torment him, and his strength left him.
Crazy.
Crazy. But you think, and I used to think, first off, how would he not know, laying there, feeling his head being shaved? It's just because he was so trusting. Like, he literally just poured out his whole heart, and now he falls asleep on the lap of the woman who he loves and he trusts. He's not even thinking, like, she's going to harm him when he's down, even though she knows the secret to his strength. And so I think, to me, that's really scary and very vulnerable. I'm terrified to be in a relationship and open myself up again because I have in the past. And I'm like, I don't want to give all of my heart to someone again and then be in a vulnerable position that I'm not even aware that they're hurting me and taking away my strength because you get so wrapped up in it. Yeah, you get so wrapped up in the good that you see, and you don't realize that this person is the thing that is, like, ruining you.
Yeah.
I don't want to say...
So how do we not do that?
Yeah, this is hard. That's hard. I don't know. Obviously, I don't have the answer to that because I'm not in a relationship. And if a guy comes in my direction, I get really weird. And I, like, push him away. Yeah. But I don't know. I also... My ex, I think, is in a much better place now, and so I don't want to say that in a way of, like, he ruined me, because obviously I'm doing fantastic, and I have overcome, and because of our relationship, I am so much better to where I am now. I'm stronger, I'm more confident, I'm, like, happier, I know what I deserve now, and I know that he feels really bad about that stuff, too, so I'm not holding that against him. I just look back at past me, and I think, I wish I had been more guarded. That's my main thing. I wish I had known my worth, first of all. Take off the love blinders, put on the worthy shades, and not let someone close enough to hurt me to where I'm just oblivious and not aware. So it was on him. Of course, he knows that, but I take accountability too because I just didn't care, and I just wanted a relationship. And, like, Samson, I think he just didn't want to be alone, and he saw pretty girls and was like, I'll just go be with them. And I think so many of us can fall into that. So you got to take accountability for that, too, because my heart was not in the place of want to be in a serious, good relationship that, like, helps me to be better. I just wanted to feel loved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it all starts with our priorities, like the topic of this, or whatever. It starts with our priorities, and so, like, we have to seek, like, God first. God is our first love, and so I don't know that you will ever be in a healthy, loving relationship without God being first. Like, maybe you are, but it's probably fleeting, I guess. I don't know, but I think that whenever you have God first and you love him first, then you can start seeking a relationship, if that makes sense. But also it's like, yeah, I feel like you do have to have your priorities straight and know, like, you have to know your worth before you ever get into a relationship. You have to know, I don't know, every situation's different.
Every situation is different. Yeah.
In my middle school self, I genuinely just love everybody, and I wasn't like, I didn't have my set friends. I just loved to be in acquaintance with people. I loved being around people. And so I feel like it was so easy for me to have just different friendships. I never had like a best friend or a dating relationship at that time. And then going into high school, I was the same way, like my first 2 years of high school, and so unguarded. And I guess I didn't really have a reason to be guarded because I'd never been hurt. And so I feel like in that season of life, I definitely should have been preparing myself for going into relationships. But I did get into a relationship that I didn't know it at the time, but it was building my guard because of the hurt. Like, I would hear things from other people, and you think that you can trust that person, but whenever you're hearing things from so many different sources, it doesn't, like Samson, like he was giving his heart out to, was it Delilah? Giving his heart out to Delilah, and the Philistine people were hearing all about it, and they were trying the things that were making him strong, but he didn't see that because he was only looking at the person that he so loved, and didn't have his guard up and wasn't looking for those different red flags and stuff. And so I think that for me, it was so easy just to not look for the red flags because I've never had to have my guard up. I never thought that someone would intentionally hurt me or want to, because I was like, I just love everybody. Why would someone want to do that? And but I do think that in relationships, it's so crucial to start out your relationship looking for how they're going to react, how they treat their parents, how they treat their friends, how they talk about other girls. Like, if they are talking about other girls in a way that's demeaning or anything like that, I think that's so important. Yeah, so I guess, like, through those 2-3 years that I was in this relationship, I had my guard down the whole time. I didn't know, or I didn't care to know. I just was excited to be in a relationship, I guess, at that time. And then after we had split up, I still was like, I don't really care. Like, and then this amazing guy comes along, and I have such this guarded heart that I didn't want to even try to have a relationship with him. And so after like a week of even like just texting, like, we weren't dating or anything, I was like, sorry, I can't do it. I'm honestly just terrified. And I don't know what shifted, but I thank God every day that it did, because what a blessing that I would have missed out on if I didn't give him the opportunity.
Something that we talk about a lot is how people say that middle school and high school relationships, like, oh, it's just a middle school relationship, or oh, it's just a high school relationship, and we never say that, because the people who you are with now, the people who you let close to your heart, will create the habits for future relationships that you don't want. And so where you weren't guarded, and then you were like, oh, now I know I should have been guarded, and then you became guarded. Or for me, it was just like trusting, and I just trusted so much to where if someone did me wrong or whatever, I would just trust them to, change or to do better. And if they said they were different, then I would trust that. And so I never understood trust issues. I never really understood jealousy. I was the least jealous person in the world. I'm not even kidding. Like, he would be on someone's Instagram story or Snapchat or something, and then I'd be like, oh, it's fine. Like, just friends hanging out. And I thought, good on me, kudos to me, because I'm that girlfriend. I just don't really care. Or I really did.
Same.
Yeah.
I'd be hanging out with them by themselves.
Yes,
and I'm like,
by themselves.
go hang out.
Go hang out. Have a good time.
fun.
I had a good time, I'm sure. But I just didn't care. And so it was like, even if people did tell me things, I was so trusting that I'm like, he wouldn't do that to me, surely not. And so I did not have jealousy. It just was not, not in relationships. I had it in other areas in comparison and whatnot, but in relationships, I just thought, like, no one would ever, like, cheat on me. Like, why would anybody do that? And so when things like that happen, then in future relationships or things, it's on your mind constantly of you don't want to think that way, but I don't want to be that super overprotective person, but now I'm, like, terrified. I don't want someone to be hanging out with girls. I don't want, all of these things, because now I'm just...
And it's so undeserving to that other person because you didn't have your guard up. And I'm so guilty of that. And like, Colton never in a million years deserves that, but because of my past hurt, it leads into future now, in your now relationship or now your singleness. Like, what benefit did that continue? Because now you constantly think about that, and you're scared to let anybody in. Now I constantly am like, what if something happens? There's always those questions that are now in your brain, and that's not what God intends in a marriage or intends in a relationship, because marriages should be two coming together to build the kingdom. And like, how are you going to build the kingdom if you're always jealous, always looking for something bad to happen? Because what good could happen if I've always been hurt? You know what I mean? And so, what benefit did you get from getting hurt all those times? Yes, we can relate to other people, but that builds so much trust issues and hurt that lead into your future relationship with your spouse.
Yeah. That's the thing. Yes, we can help other people, and that's the glory of God, being able to use something that is so sad for us in our past and something that maybe we would be tempted to be ashamed and run away from. That's the glory of God. Yeah. That is the grace of God on our life, saying, hey, nothing goes to waste. I can use this. I can use the parts of your life you don't even want to look at. I can use it. But like you said, yes, that's so great that he is so good that he can do that, but it was also hard on us, and it hurt. And there are things in our lives that have happened naturally, and in everybody's lives, like loss and tragedy and stuff like that we don't have control over. So it's like the things that we do have control over, when it's us who are making the choices or us who are letting our guards down, it's a lot harder to be like, okay, God, I want you to use even this, because this wasn't a natural disaster or something that happened. Like, this was on me, and he will use it, but don't open yourself up just to be used and just to be relatable, because there's plenty of people who have those stories. Like, this is to our girls. I don't want them to be the person with that story. I want them to be the person that says, I guarded my heart and I met the person and that was it. Yeah. Thank goodness, thank God, if that is their story. And it's really hard because obviously the Bible doesn't talk about dating or anything. That wasn't a thing back then. And even as we were reading Samson and Delilah, Samson walks up and is like, she's like cute.
That's my wife.
I'm gonna marry her. Yes.
And tomorrow.
And how unfair. Like, what if she wasn't into him? And so she's like, okay, I'm just gonna have my Philistines like take away your strength. I don't know. But in my mind, it's like, as girls, a lot of us have a deeper longing for that relationship, I feel like, than guys. I'm not a guy. I know that guys struggle with that too. Samson is evidence of it. But I think that is rooted so much in us, of almost our purpose, or we're told from so young, like, who's your boyfriend? Or
when all the grandmas always say,
yes,
you have a boyfriend yet?
It is so, that's, yeah. My Nana, she asked me every time she saw me if I had a boyfriend, and then one time she asked me, honey, do you still like boys? Cause I'm like, Nana, I do. There's just not any good ones around me. And, but you train the little girls that from so young, or like, what's your wedding day going to be like? Or play with these baby dolls like you want to be a mama. And so we have kind of in our minds, like, this is the destiny for women. And it's not for everyone, but back in Bible times, that was literally their only purpose, because women were seen as property. And so I feel like generational trauma is a real thing. And so I feel like in women, it has been carried down and it has been passed down, rooting all the way back to the Bible, where it was like a guy would say, hey, I want her. And so then it's like, oh, he wants me? Like, sweet, now I have purpose, now I have meaning. Now my life is dependent upon like this person doing everything for me and being the provider, and I get to be the wife. And we've talked enough about healthy submission and what that means. But I think as women, sometimes we can think like that's the whole purpose for everything. Once I'm married, once I have kids, once I do all that, then it's going to be so good. And that's not how God intended it to be. Even back in the Bible times, people kind of take things and they twist them, and then man took authority and said, like, this is how it should be. But I don't know. I found a lot more confidence in my singleness, but it was hard. It is hard when everybody around me is always asking, when are you going to get married? When are you going to have kids? Do you have a boyfriend yet? Are you talking to anyone? Anybody catch your eye? I'm like, no. Obviously not. But yeah, and dating isn't really talked about, but it's because I guard my heart. And where we were talking about priorities, I 100%, billion% would rather be single my whole life, die single, than be married with someone who I am not compatible with, who does not like make me strive to be better, who weakens me, who takes away my strength. I would rather feel moments of loneliness every day for the rest of my life than to end up in a relationship that drains me. I will never do that again. I will never do that again. I will stand my ground on that. And I will have people ask me if I'm 50 years old, are you ever going to get a boyfriend? And I will say, no, not unless like he's worth my time. I won't. I really won't. And I will stand that ground. And I know that that's different for different people. Yeah. People have different longings and desires, but I have experienced that enough, and I've been single long enough that I know I'm capable and I can do that. And I would rather do that, like, gladly, every day of my life. I'm so for real, every day of my life. Yeah.
You got me and the boys.
I got Abby. I got best friend. I got puppies. I got my mama. I got a house. I'm good.
I think that, like, the desire of your heart, I think that it's important to note on that too. I think that everybody has different desires, and if the desire of your heart is to be single, you're not weird for that. You're not set apart. Like, God calls us to love him first, and if the desire of your heart is to be with someone, he said if that's such a distraction, go get married.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with that.
No, nothing wrong. But I think that you have to hone in on those desires, otherwise you're going to end up in unfulfilling relationships that are not good.
Mm-hmm. Even if that's your desire, don't let that control you and lead you into something where you're going to think, man, I was happier single than I am married, because you think marriage is all that you want. But no, a healthy relationship is what you long for, not a title of marriage and a mama. I know that that's hard to say because I'm not in that place, and I know other people are, but you're absolutely right, Abby. Like, even with that being a desire, you have to still be guarded, even if you're longing for that. If past you, so this can be middle school Abby before any desire, or high school Abby mid-relationship. I don't know. You think of what season in your life you needed this. But if past you was sitting here instead of me and you're looking at her, what would you say about relationships? What would you advise?
I would probably say it's okay to still be set apart. Like, it's okay to not fall into what everybody else is doing or what your friends think is a good idea at the time. And to trust your friends. Like, even if you do get into a relationship, trust the people that have your best interest, and don't set them aside just because of your feelings. Because I think it's so easy to get on here and say guard your heart, but it's so important to have good community and trusting them that they do have your best interest, because sometimes our heart is confusing. It gets a little confusing in there. And,
There's a verse, one of my favorite verses, I can't think of where it is, but it says, the heart is deceitfully wicked. And so, yes, we should guard it, but why should we guard it? Because its intentions are not pure. So then if you let, like, something close and is not supposed to, and your heart leads you there, that doesn't mean that's where you're supposed to go. Like the world says, follow your heart. And the word says the heart is deceitfully wicked. Like, guard it, but do not follow it. And so I think that's so important because we can get so caught up in our feelings, or like that Selena Gomez song, The Heart Wants What It Wants. Oh, man, this is good. At Passion Conference this year, JP said that is like, he debunked that lie. He said the heart does not want what it wants. The heart wants what it's fed. So you are creating the algorithm for your attraction.
That's so good, though, because like before I ever got into a relationship in high school, I remember going back to high school self, so no digs at anybody. I remember all of us like sitting there, and I had no desire to get in a relationship, but as soon as your friends sit around you and say like, this is
He likes you. He thinks you're cute.
This is so exciting. Like you should go follow that. Like it's okay to say like, it's not the desire of my heart, and shut it down real quick because, I don't know how. It's so hard to navigate life and relationships and what's right and what's wrong. But I think if you have God first and you know that He loves you so much, and that you don't have to degrade yourself for somebody that doesn't love God, or you don't have to degrade yourself for somebody who's not willing to wait for you, and all these things. It's not worth what your friends like have to say, because they're not the ones that's going to be going through that relationship. It's you that's going through that relationship. Yes, they have great input, like I said. Like, if you do fall into a relationship, it's okay, but trust them that they have your best interest after and what they're speaking to you. If you had to give Tori advice, what would you say?
If I could go give past Tori any form of advice, any dating advice,
I would just slap her on the face. Myself, not you. I
just punched Tori.
We did that.
Oh, man. Well, I think first off, I'd say you don't want to confuse like love with a good friendship, because you could lose a good friend. And so I know that me and the person that I was with were not compatible. That's the thing. People say opposites attract. You might have initial attraction. Like Samson was like, oh, Delilah's attractive, but that doesn't mean you're compatible. Opposites might attract, but that doesn't mean that they should be together. You need to be with someone who you have things in common with. You need to be with someone who, that's like one of my top priorities. You need to be with someone who you have common ground. And I just feel like in that season of our life, me and the guy I was with didn't have anything in common. And so I didn't know how to be myself anymore. So I think I would say to me, if you cannot be 100% yourself with someone, then they don't love you. They love the idea of you or the person that you're trying to be, because he didn't know me. He really didn't. And now sometimes we talk, and I feel like it makes me sad, because there's a friendship that could have been really good at a time that we both needed it, but instead we got lust confused in it, and both kind of lost ourselves and didn't know ourselves. And once again, like I said, I'll never put all the blame on him, because I was also lost and confused. And that's why I would tell myself, if you cannot be yourself, then that's not a relationship you should pursue, because you'll start becoming the person that you're pretending to be, or you will just get so lost in it. And that was what happened to me. So
that's really good.
Yeah, I think that's what I would say. Also just, I don't know. I talk about the relationship I was in some, but I don't talk about like the situationship that was not long after, and was just the most confusing thing. And so even then it was like, I feel like I can be myself around this person, and we were becoming such good friends. And once again, got like lust confused in that picture. And so I think that's my main thing, is just have guy friends. Don't hang out alone with them, and just be in each other's presence, and don't get your feelings confused. Trust your gut, because both times I had a feeling like I'm probably not going to marry this person. So what am I doing then? Am I wasting my time? 4 years of my life, that's a lot of time to invest into something. Or am I wasting their time? Am I just lonely? Am I just bored? Am I just bored? And so I am abusing this person's time and messing with their emotions just so that I don't feel lonely, because that's really low of me. And that was what I did in certain seasons, because I was bored or I was lonely, and that is so messed up. So I'm not going to shift the blame on that. I'm going to take accountability, but I would say I definitely did that, and that's so unfair. And that's another person made in God's image. I shouldn't be treating them like that. So, yeah, just be more careful. And I feel like this is the thing. If I meet someone, I feel like I'm just gonna know. And if I have to pray, what? You don't think I'm gonna know?
No, I'll tell you. You
Tell
can
me.
cut this part out.
No.
It's whenever I was talking to that one guy, and he said, "You know how you just like look at them and you think that you would know? I don't feel that. Like, like I think there is an internal sense that you know, like you just like have comfort, and maybe it's not like the day of. Like I think it is important to have that friendship before you go into like a serious relationship, and then like whenever it's a mutual thing and you just know, like there's so much comfort in that. And if somebody's telling you that they don't think that they know, like listen to that. Like don't keep pursuing that and pushing that relationship if you don't feel like you know. I'm sorry, that just got
No,
my
that's good, because the guy that I had talked to last was saying things like, I think I'm gonna marry you one day. Like this is it. I've never met somebody like you before. And then
I'd say that too. Bless you.
Thanks. But then he brings God into it and stuff, and it's like, man, I've been praying about this, and I just genuinely feel like this is it, and everything's kind of aligning. I didn't have peace about it, and I thought, I don't feel that, but like if God's really communicating that to him, I don't know. And so then I got so in my head and just thought, am I expecting too much? Are my standards way too high? I just started to think, oh, this must be a me thing. My guard must be up, right? I'm not giving this a chance. I'm not giving it the time of day, but I never had peace about it. And then he made me feel so stupid. He ended up like playing me in the end, and then confusing me and thinking it was because I wasn't clear with my intentions, like saying if I wanted to be with him or not. It was just a whole thing. But I would say, I can't even think of where I was going with, but that feeling, I feel like you will just know, and you will have peace about it, and the people who love you will also know and have peace about it. I know that. I don't know why. Somewhere in my core, I know that I'm going to know. And I know that might sound crazy, and I said that before because people try to set me up with everybody. Everybody. And it's okay. And I'm just not really interested. And I don't want to exhaust my energy into anything else I'm not interested in just to be proven dumb in the end. Like, I'd rather exhaust my energy into someone I'm interested in. And then if it doesn't work out, it's like, oh, that's unfortunate. But if in the beginning I'm not even interested, why? Like, I don't want to be played a fool then. Then then I'm like, I should have listened to my gut. But I feel like God will make it clear. There's not going to be confusion. There's going to be clarity. But obviously pray and trust him and seek outside counsel. But I feel like if it is God's will for me to end up with someone, he's going to have to make it very clear, because otherwise, he knows I'm so content by myself, and I love living alone. It's going to be very hard for me to welcome someone into my life. So he's going to have to make it very clear. And my mom says sometimes, I think guys don't like to, because everybody wants to set me up with people, but guys don't really come approach me unless they don't know me, which is kind of like, is it my personality that they don't like? But if they know me, they don't really come and approach me. And Mom said, I think you're intimidating to them. I'm like, good. I don't want someone who's intimidated by me to try and pursue me. I'm not interested in that. I'm so focused on Jesus that, like, I'm not even looking. And I heard an analogy one time where it's like two people are running, Jesus is at the front, and like this is my focus. So I don't even recognize someone unless they're like keeping up the pace with me to like pursue Jesus. Then I might be like, oh, hey, what's up? But I'm not looking back.
So casual.
Okay? Yeah.
There ain't no way I'd be running and be like,
I don't run, first of all.
Good analogy.
Great analogy.
Not-
But I'm not looking back, but also I'm not even looking to the side. Like I'm not pulling anybody along. God's going to have to place them in front of me because I'm not interested unless he does it. I'm too content by myself to disrupt that with potential. I will disrupt it with purpose and bring someone into my life, but not potential. Mm-mm.
That's good.
Yeah, I'm getting so red. I'm getting so hivey. I can feel it. I'm like flustered. Yeah.
If you are questioning if you should be single or dating, I think like a very important thing to do would be to challenge yourself while being single. Like stay single for a couple months maybe, like, and see how you do, because if you have to be so reliant on a guy, then that's not healthy. Like you should be reliant on God and his plans for you, not what's the next relationship that I can get into that can fulfill me, rather than being single and relying on him.
I think that's applicable even in relationships because it's going to take a lot of time for me. And so even if God puts that piece in me and I'm like, I know, I'm still going to need that person to be very patient with me. And next week we're going to talk about purity, boundaries, all of that stuff. And it's intimidating, but it's going to be good. You need someone who respects that, but you also need someone who just respects your need for like space and time to like get to know them. Just because you have peace and you think this is the person for me doesn't mean you go all in 100% immediately. I think it's healthy to get to know them and become friends and build that. Yeah, I want to be friends with whoever I'm end up with, because if I immediately, this is where I messed up in my relationship, was I just, first off, not that you should be attracted to someone, you should, but like I just was like, oh, he's cute, whatever. And so it was immediately just with the intention of relationship and attraction, and I didn't think that he needed to really get to know me, so I started it off like that. But if we had started as a friendship and maybe had the potential to grow, to know each other and to like love each other for who we were, then it wouldn't have been like a love, lust, confusion into us then later trying to figure out who we were. So yeah, I think giving yourself time and giving that person time when you meet them to we're interested in each other, so let's see if we're compatible. Let's make sure this is, if opposites attract, whatever, let's make sure this is more than attraction and that it's compatibility and that we have things in common and that we enjoy each other's presence, because I'm dating to get married or you're dating to break up. Like, you've got those two options. So I don't want to start dating. Like, I think it's healthy that we have the talking phase now where you kind of get to know someone, but our culture's twisted it so much to where it's like, oh, I'm not dating, I'm just talking so I can talk to whoever. That's not the intent. I think talking is healthy to get to know someone before you jump into dating, but not use it as an excuse to talk to whoever you want to, because it's not official.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's facts.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you're listening, it's Valentine's Day and you expected to get on here and
Valentine's
just
Day!
us talk about all the love. Sorry, we just challenged you to think about your whole life. Sorry. But I really would, just in every season, in any season that you're in, I would just challenge you to, what are your priorities? What are you seeking first? And are you content? Are you content with where you're at? Because God has good plans, and he will lead you in the right direction. So.
Yeah, I agree. And also, God is love. What you are longing for, because it's not that I don't long to be loved. I don't need like a man to validate that in me, but I long for love. Like, my soul, my very being was created for that, but God's name is love. And so I would say figure out what is that longing for. Maybe it is relationship, and pray to God like that he will help you find contentment where you are, help to build you into the wife and the mother that you desire to be, like build those character traits now. Pray over that. Pray over your future husband like crazy if you're single or if you're dating, if you're with him right now. But I would just say...
That's so good, because that's by the grace of God that I met Colton. It literally is by the grace of God, because I had prayer warriors like praying for me constantly. Not just because I was longing for a relationship, but if you don't have those people who have your back and they're going to be praying for you, I didn't care. I mean, I did at that point, but if you don't have those people that are praying for you, or you're not praying for your future husband, what are you doing? Yeah.
If you are praying for your future husband, then sometimes it becomes very clear that the person in front of you is not that person. Because I would write letters, I used to my future husband, and as I'm writing them, I'm like, I just don't think that it's the guy that I'm talking to.
Maybe you can just give me those, and then I'll give him the call. Like, I did this for you.
He's gonna be like, this is so weird, actually. This seems like not your life. When did you get in a car accident?
I was like, I just wanted to live through Tori, so.
Yeah, I wrote from the perspective of Tori, but to you. He's like, that's actually really weird.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no, you're good. But yeah, pray. Above all things, continue to pray. Do not worry about anything. Instead, pray about everything. If your timeline is not matching up to what you hoped, yeah, it's okay. It's all right. Find peace, find contentment where you are. And if you're seeking love, go to the one who created it, invented it, is it. He is the only true source of fulfillment in love. No human relationship will ever do that. You're going to have moments of love and it's going to be great and awesome and you're in the best relationship and I can't even express how grateful and pumped I am about that. But even in that moving forward, Jesus is both of your first love. He is both of your number one. And that's the main thing that I would say, that I would leave with. That's what I tell my younger self. If you need to be loved so bad, look up. Also, hon, I know you have daddy issues, but your Heavenly Father's love's perfect. Just fix your eyes. Yeah. Don't try to have all this other stuff try to fix you, because it can't.
There's so much advice that we would give, and I think that, I love that we have this advice, but we wouldn't have this advice if we didn't go through these things we go through. So, not saying you should go through it, but just listen to our advice.
Listen to us so that you can save yourself from the trouble of it. And then when you meet the right person, you're like, this is it. Without all that drama that you're carrying along. But if you have that too, obviously, God can use that. Here we are. Abby's still in a really healthy relationship, and I have found contentment in the season that I am. So if that's your past or that's your present, it's not too late to get out. Don't listen to that lie. I've invested so much time. Okay, then let's stop here so you don't invest more time. Yeah. Yep.
That's good.
So, happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Sadie Day.
Happy Sadie Day, everybody. You guys will not want to miss next week. We're going to be talking about some heavy things for us that we've never been quite so vulnerable about. And so we're going to need some extra strength from the Lord. So be praying for us in that. And if this podcast episode helped you, every week we do it for the one. If this helped you, that's so amazing, and we're grateful for that. And if you think it could benefit someone else, send it over to them, because,
That's what we're here for.
That's what we're here for.
Just
do. If you need to talk, message us. We'll do our best to respond. We have really limited time limits on our phone, so we may not get to it for a very while, but yeah. Yep. With that being said, XOXO, godly girls.